Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. In this lesson, we'll be analyzing the poem Renouncement by Alice Meynell. Okay, so I must not think of thee and tired yet strong. I shun the thought that lurks in all delight, the thought of thee and in the blue heaven's height and in the sweetest passage of a song. So the poem's title clearly suggests what the poem will be about. It will be renounced. It will be about renouncement. Renouncement refers to the act of giving up something one enjoys or desires. So the poem itself begins with the speaker announcing exactly what it is she intends to let go of. I must not think of thee. This is something or someone that she is willing to let go of. She is renouncing that. I must not think of thee. The speaker, for reasons that aren't revealed at this moment in the poem, she has chosen to give up fantasizing about someone she clearly longs to be with. So Alice Mill, the writer, the poet of this poem, wrote this poem after falling in love with the Catholic priest who helped convert her. And the poem reflects the fact that this love was never going to be realized. Why? Because the priests they take vows of celibacy and can't marry. So the speaker's motivations in the poem are left vague. Perhaps this thee is already married. Perhaps they just don't love the speaker back because we do not know until now. If we do not know the background, what would be the situation? The situation would be very ambiguous, very vague. Okay, so then the readers would only think that what problem with thee might be. So either thee is already married, perhaps they just don't, yeah, they just don't love the speaker back. So what's clear is that thinking about this person won't do the speaker any good. बात ये है, whether you know him or not, whether the readers know him or not, clear बात ये है that thinking about this person won't do the speaker any good. The firm seizure created by the semicolon, okay, in the middle of the line one makes the speaker's opening statement sound utterly firm. Okay, na? क्या है statement? I must not think of thee. बस, strong, बात खत्म. Okay, na? It makes the speaker's opening statement very firm. She might be tired, worn out by the effort it takes not to think about this person, but she is determined to get them out of her head. She's tired, but she is strong. She's tired of not thinking about him. Okay, okay. She's tired, and being tired suggests that she wants to give up this action. Okay, but she wants to stay strong. Okay, she's determined that she's going to get that person out of her head. I must not think of the entire yet strong. So she escalates things in line 2 when she declares, I shun the thought that lurks in all delight. The verb shun means to forcefully or passionately avoid or reject something. The anaphora of line 1 and 2, I must, I shun, make the speaker sound more emphatic. She actively, consciously rejects this thought, the thought of thee, okay, despite the fact that it lurks in all delight, despite the fact that it is delightful to think about that person, still she shuns this thought. So, in other words, this thought sneakily hides within everything that brings the speaker joy in the blue heavens height, okay, or up in the bright blue sky. Yani कि if she even looks at the bright blue sky, the blue heavens height, that reminds her of this of that person. And in the sweetest passage of a song, if she listens to a good song, and that the sweetest passage of that song also reminds her of that person. So basically everything lovely or happy things reminds the speaker of her beloved. The breathy alliteration of heaven's height and the gentle sibilance of sweetest passage of song make these lines themselves sound lovely. It seems that the speaker enjoys thinking about this person, which makes her efforts to stop thinking about them all the very more difficult. This is a Petrarchan sonnet, and this renouncement consists of 14 lines of iambic pentameter. This firm propelling meter, iambic pentameter, it reflect propelling क्यों है? Because it moves from unstressed to stress. Okay ना? So ये आगे बढ़ रही है. It's on the rise. That's why it is known as propelling meter. Okay. So this propelling meter reflects the speaker's confidence and resolve. जो उसने बात की, she wants to move ahead with it. Already there is a subtle irony in these lines that weakens that resolve. Yeah, the speaker uses anaphora here throughout the poem, directly addressing the person she's trying to push from her mind. Okay, na? Anaphora kya hai? I must, I shall, I. Okay, na? So आगे क्या है? With anaphora there is also an apostrophe. The. Okay, na? I must not think of the. Okay, so the speaker uses apostrophe here and throughout the poem, directly addressing the person. Yani ke, if you really want to be distant from that person, are you going to keep on addressing that person? So with using the word the, she keeps on addressing the person. So this is ironical over here. Kaise bhai, the person you want to move away from, but you keep on taking that person's name. You keep on directly addressing the person. Okay, na? And when you address someone in the poem, that is known as apostrophe. So this apostrophe undercuts, highlights the speaker's claim that she's not going to this person. Okay, na? Yani ke it somehow weakens the claim of the speaker that she's not going to think about this person. Okay, at the same time, she's talking to them directly. Okay, na? And has written a whole poem about them. Yani ke if you do not want to think about a person, then how come you're writing the whole poem about that person? So these are irony over here. Lines 5 to 8. Oh, just beyond the fairest thoughts that throng this breast, the thought of thee waits hidden yet bright. But it must never, never come in sight. I must not stop short of thee the whole day long. Oh, the speaker begins, this exclamation conveying a sense of agony. Oh, then the seizure after O suggests the way that thoughts of her beloved seem to stop her in her tracks. Behind the most wonderful, fairest thoughts the speaker has, the poem continues. The thought of this person waits hidden yet bright. So this is somewhat paradoxical statement. How can something hidden or out of sight be bright? So it is a constant, beautiful glimmer in the back of the speaker's mind. So trying not to pay attention to this thought must be like trying not to look at a beautiful view. Knowing this thought will bring her pleasure is a constant source of temptation for her. The firm, forceful alliteration of breast and bright evokes the power of this tempting thought. It also calls attention to the place where this thought lives. It lives in the speaker's breast or heart. Her brain is trying to control her feelings, but her feelings don't want to listen. Her heart doesn't want to listen. So the thought of her beloved must never, never come inside. The speaker uses or continues the epizixis over here by repeating never, never without any intervention, emphasizing the speaker's resolve. Nahi, nahi, kuch bhi ho jaye, nahi. Still, the speaker insists that she stops short of giving into these thoughts the whole day long. No wonder she is so tired. Trying not to fantasize about this person is a full time job for her. But when sleep comes to close each difficult day, when night gives pause to the long watch I keep, and all my bonds I need must lose apart, must doff my will as raiment led away. Okay. Now, the but in line 9 introduces the sonnet's volta or turn. The speaker spent the octave or the first 8 lines describing her self discipline throughout the day. But she will spend the sestet, the remaining final 6 lines, describing what happens at night. Okay. So the speaker doesn't immediately tell readers what she does when the day ends. However, the anaphora of lines 9 and 10 create a sense of building anticipation. But when, okay, sleep comes to close each difficult day. When? night gives pause to the long watch I keep. So इस when के बाद लग रहा है कि कुछ आने वाला है. So the day is difficult because the speaker has spent all of her time trying to control her thoughts throughout the day. But the arrival of night invariably gives pause. Okay na? क्या? But when night gives pause to long watch I keep. So the night invariably gives pause to the speaker's long watch, her vigilant attempt to keep thoughts of her love at bay. Okay, so the day is difficult because the speaker has spent all her time trying to control her thoughts. But the arrival of night, it gives pause to the speaker's long watch. Okay, na? It gives pause to the speaker's vigilant attempt to keep thoughts of her love at bay. Okay, na? Love at a distance. Okay, so those vigilant attempts throughout the day of keeping the thoughts of her love at a distance, they that action is given a pause. At night, she must undo the bonds that keep her conscious thoughts in check. Okay, and all my bonds I need must lose apart. So at night, she must undo the bonds that keep her conscious thoughts in check. She's essentially been keeping her thoughts prisoner all day, but in order to sleep, she has to relax and set them free. She must lay aside her will or ability to choose and act accordingly to her choice, like one doff a raiment. In other words, she must cast off her will as one would toss aside a garment before going to bed. Doff, toss aside. Raiment, a garment. Okay, now, like you want to take off the day's clothing and get on the and wear the night's clothing on to before going to bed. The same is happening. She wants to give. She has to take away all the things which she has gone throughout the days in order to relax and sleep in the night. So this simile is particularly striking and considering when renouncement was written. Women in Victorian England, they wore very constricting clothes, including corsets throughout the day, making it difficult for them to move or breathe normally. This suggests that the speaker's choice not to think about the person she loves inhibits her from being able to think and act naturally. क्या मतलब है? It suggests that the speaker's choice to not to think about that person is in a way uh, inhibiting her from being able, stopping her from being able to think and act naturally. यानी कि when she's trying to stop herself forcefully, she's in a way stopping her natural instinct to do something. But at the end of the day, when she climbs into the bed, she's completely exhausted and ready to surrender herself to whatever dreams may come. The last two lines. With the first dream that comes, with the first sleep, I run, I am gathered to thy heart. So the speaker makes her confession in the poem's final two lines. At night, she gives in to the very fantasies she had spent all day trying to avoid. As soon as sleep hits, with the first dream that comes, she finds herself racing towards her beloved. The diacope of first कहाँ है भाई diacope first with the first dream that comes with the first sleep. So this diacope of first in line 13 emphasizes just how quickly the speaker's subconscious desires take over once she has fallen asleep. When the first dream that comes with the first sleep, okay, when this happens, okay, how quickly the desires which are present at the back of her mind they take over her. So metrically and in meter, these this line emphasizes these first even more with two spondees, feet which are made up of two stretched syllables. देखो ना, iambic is unstressed and stressed, but what if it is both stressed? Huh? So it is spondy, my first dream and first sleep. The feet which are talking about first, they are totally spondy. Both of them are stressed. Okay. So the rhythm of this line is forceful, it is intense, and it is highlighting just how strong the speaker's desire is. Okay. The speaker concludes, Kya I run, I am gathered to thy heart. This is an epizeuxis, the repetition of iron, and anaphora. The repetition of I make the poem's final moments extremely dramatic. She doesn't just imagine the person she loves, she imagines herself sprinting towards them. And again, she's not only imagining the person she loves, but she is imagining herself running, sprinting towards that person and being caught up in his embrace. So the forcefulness of the ending suggests that all the speaker's attempts throughout the day to reject her desire for this person have backfired. Pushing these thoughts away has only made these thoughts even stronger. Okay, with this, we're going to move on to the theme. The first theme is the intensity of unattainable or forbidden love. The speaker of renouncement is desperately trying not to think about a person she can't have, believing that doing so will presumably protect her from heartbreak. But the heart wants what it wants, the poem suggests, and the fact that this love is off limits seems only to make the speaker want it more. Indeed, the poem suggests that trying desperately not to think about this person only makes the thought of them even more tantalizing. So sometimes the poem suggests desire is more powerful precisely because it is forbidden. जिसे कहते हैं ना बच्चों को जिससे मना करोगे they're going to have the desire to do that the most. Second theme is will versus desire. In renouncement, the speaker is trying desperately. क्या will है उसकी? She's trying desperately not to dwell on a love that for unexplained reasons cannot be. So what is clear is that the speaker's willpower is not so strong in the face of overwhelming desire. Determined as she may be, she simply can't control her unconscious mind, and desire isn't something that can just be shut off. So all the conscious discipline in the world, the poem illustrates, can't change how she feels. With this, we're going to move on with the poetic devices in figurative language. We have already talked about anaphora, apozixis, alliteration, caesura, okay, simile, and apostrophe, and its effects. With this, we're going to move on to the form and the meter and the rhymes. So, Renouncement is a Petrarchan sonnet which has already been stated. It is a 14-line poem written in iambic pentameter. Petrarchan sonnets can split into two distinct parts. एक तो हो गई octave, which is followed by a sestet. The octave of a Petrarchan sonnet presents a kind of argument or problem. In the case of renouncement, the speaker's struggle not to think about the person she loves is the problem she is presenting in the octave. The sestet then responds to this problem. The shift between sections is called the sonnet's volta, a turn in the poem's thinking that can provide a resolution or a counter argument to everything that has been said so far. The volta here coincides with the speaker's admission that she cannot control her thoughts at night and ultimately surrenders to the fantasies she spends all day trying to avoid. The poem is written in iambic pentameter. The poem's steady driving rhythm helps to convey the speaker's self-control and discipline. Rhyme scheme. The poem follows one of the rhyme schemes possible for a Petrarchan sonnet. कौन सी? A B B A, A B B A, C D E, and C B E. So the poem's octave, the ABBA part, describes the speaker's waking hours when she must resist thoughts of the person she wants to be with. The poem cesses then introduces the new rhyme sound CDE CDE to coincide with a shift in content. The way the content is changing, in the same way the rhyme is also changing. Now the speaker describes what happens when night comes and she is powerless to control her unconscious desires. Literary context. The English poet, the journalist, and activist Alice Meynell published Renouncement in her second collection poems in 1893. Meynell had written the poem after converting to Roman Catholicism in 1868 and falling in love with the father Augustus Dignam, the priest who had helped convert her. Since Catholic priests take vows of celibacy and cannot marry, this love was doomed from the start. So, known for her short lyric poems, Meynell was particularly adept at writing sonnets. The historical context. Alice Meynell's life mostly coincided with the rule of Queen Victoria. Even as this period ushered in a great deal of innovation and expansion, it saw a return to traditional family values. Perhaps in response to this speedy reconfiguration of the world, Victorian social culture became deeply conservative. English women were expected to adhere to a strict code of sexual morals. A woman must be chaste and submissive, and any deviation could mean social exile. So, this poem's speaker's strong control over her thoughts throughout the day reflects qualities that were considered important for women at the time. Keeping a tight rein on her desires would have been precisely what was expected of her in those times. So, with this, we're going to end this poem. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask.